All right, we have a caller right now on the line to talk about the Bears. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on what we should expect next weekend. What do you think the game's going to look like?
Well, these two franchises, they don't meet up that often. It's their fourth matchup since 2006, so there's not a lot to really gauge. The Bears won their last meeting 28-13 in 2012. But as we said, it's always tough to win in Soldier Field.
It is. Every week is tough. The Bears are they're not going to be happy about starting 0-2. John Fox is an accomplished NFL coach. He knows what he's doing. You never know with Cutler, right? I mean, he can throw for 450 next week.
Yeah.
He's a streaky quarterback. He is capable of having a big game. So, I think the Cardinals just have to stick to what works for them, right? And if they can get Chris Johnson in there doing what Ellington did yesterday. Ellington averaged 5.8 yards a carry.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really, really effective yesterday. They keep mixing things up now that they have a tight end. I mean, that makes such a big difference on third down because you can extend drives, right? You can control the clock. So having multiple threats, they've got to do what they do: attack, attack, attack. And that Chicago defense is vulnerable. So I mean, this is a game the Cardinals are favored to win, and they should win.
Yeah.
And as a playoff team, it's a game they have to win.
What concerned me defensively yesterday with the Cardinals is, when they brought the pressure, Drew Brees just dumped it off to, and Mark Ingram had some big receptions. Kerry Robinson did as well. Do you know anyone on the Bears who's a good receiving running back? Okay, you got maybe Matt Forte.
Yeah.
They're their best, maybe the best receiving back in the NFL. That concerns me.
Are you
quite
talking about Matt Forte?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
So that concerns me quite a bit as far as yesterday. The Cardinals did a good job taking away the deep threat, but Drew Brees is, with those dinks and dunks. I don't know Jay Cutler is going to be quite as good at that, but Matt Forte is so good.
I was just going to say, if this defense could contain Drew Brees and the Saints, just logic would say that they should be able to contain Jay Cutler and the Bears. Not to mention the offensive side, Palmer and those wideouts, as we said, if they were able to take care of New Orleans. And again, that secondary was banged up and a lot of inexperience back there. But I expect them to do, a similar score, actually, I expect in week 2.
Well, the game's on the road, so that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah,
The Bears are a much better team at home. There's no question. It'll be fun for Arians. He's got a little of that Chicago blood in him. Going back there, even though he never really coached there or lived there. The fact that, believe me, the Bears fans regret the fact that the Hallis family did not hire the McCaskies. I mean, that was a huge mistake. They had a chance to hire him as their coach. So,
and how great would it be to kind of slap him in the face with a big old...
when the schedule comes out, you look at it. Okay, they got to play the Bears on the road. You're glad it's in September and not December.
Big
so
time.
That's another advantage that the Cardinals have. That the weather's going to be
I was just going to say, another advantage, it's not going to be snowing, so that's
Perfect.
good.
Perfect. We got a question here on Twitter from Jose Gutierrez, and I think he brings up a good point. Carson Palmer, he almost threw a couple picks yesterday. Of course, you look at the stat line, no interceptions. He threw a couple passes that could have easily been picked off. So he says, how about the fact that Carson made some bad throws that could have easily been interceptions they weren't dropped? Are we concerned about that?
I mean, that's a fair question. I mean, again, his completion rate ratio was not that great, 19 for 32. But again, it was that big play. And yes, absolutely, if there were a couple tip balls and picks just like Drew Brees suffered, it is a completely different ballgame down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, so much of that is, luck. It comes down to tips and things like that. But the bottom line, the NFL is the ultimate scoreboard. What did the scoreboard say? What did the stat sheet say?
Yeah.
What do you have? One interception yesterday?
Who?
For
Brees, one interception.
Brees had
one
the
for
one.
Brees.
That was
Palmer,
tipped.
none.
Yeah.
Palmer
But
didn't
again, the best stat, I think, for Cardinal fans when you look at Carson Palmer yesterday was the fact that he wasn't sacked.
I know it. That is we could throw these out. Like the biggest statistic from yesterday was the offensive line did not allow a sack, especially considering how much concern surrounded this offensive line in the offseason.
And you look at the offensive line did a good job opening up holes for the running game as well. I just looked at this statistic. Yesterday's game, the first time since 1959 that the Cardinals had over 300 passing yards and over 120 rushing yards in season opener. Balanced attack.
Oh, yeah?
Wow.
Don't need to rely on the. And I like what Bruce Arians says. A lot of coaches will try to use the run to set up the pass. He likes to do the opposite. You saw him come out, no huddle, passes down, deep down the field, over the middle, set up the pass, or use the pass to set up the run. I think he did that so well yesterday.
Yeah, and that reminds me of that first drive of the ball game. Did that not kind of set the tone, how well they mixed up run and pass, that threat, to where that's when Bruce Arians said, that's when kind of the chess match began.
Yeah, and like I said earlier in the show, too, the fact that they came out with 5 wides, right? No running backs. You know, there was a lot of plays where Ellington wasn't even on the field early on, and I think that caught the Saints off guard. They couldn't really anticipate or game plan for that. So, game 2, you got to have some more wrinkles. But I think one of the big things that will help the Cardinals is they have the type of offense that finishes. They get into the end zone, right? They don't settle for field goals. I don't know if I see the Bears scoring 3 or 4 touchdowns on the Cardinals. I can see this being a bend but don't break philosophy.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You give up 3 points every now and then, you can win when you have an explosive offense.
What was that statistic again? That was awesome. When they allow fewer than 23 points?
When they allow fewer than 20 points, let's
20
see.
points.
They are 19-2 under Bruce Arians when allowing 20 or fewer points.
I'm saying, man, you allow a couple of touchdowns, odds are you're still going to take it. I just hope they can contain it.
Let's talk about the Cardinals' run defense yesterday. Limiting the Saints with 54 yards. And here's another statistic for you. The Cardinals are 16-1 under Bruce Arians in games in which they outrushed their opponent, which they did by over 2-1 yesterday. And they're 12-1 in which they rushed for over 100 yards, including wins in each of their last 12 games where they rushed for at least 100 yards. Nat Forte rushed for over 100 yards for the Bears yesterday. That's a big concern, obviously, as well as his pass catching ability. And of course, we haven't talked about Alshon Jeffrey yet. That matchup is presumably with Patrick Peterson. That's going to be a marquee matchup. Peterson looked great yesterday. It looks like he's recovered from his bout with diabetes last year. Looks like he's got his weight controlled now. He's in better shape. So, he got burned by a lot of big name wide receivers last year. Him just being able to contain Alshon Jeffrey, limit him to under 100 yards, is going to be huge.
That's a very good point. Now let me put you guys on the spot. Who wins the pass game next week, and who wins the rush game?
Tom?
I don't think I can conceivably go out here and say Jay Cutler's going to win that passing game. He doesn't have enough threats. He doesn't have enough weapons. They're trying to figure things out with the new coach. They're reeling from an opening loss. I think the Cardinals go in there with some momentum. They do the same thing they did this week. Do their plan, stick with their game plan. They're aggressive. I think every game John Brown is capable of scoring a touchdown. Mm-hmm. And now you have threats at the tight end position. Chris Johnson is capable of breaking a run. I think the Cardinals are going to go in there. I think it'll be 24-16, something like that. I think they're going to win the game.
Well, we have our first prediction. 24-16, says Tom. We will be keeping track of this throughout the season. 24-16
That's
Bears,
mine.
right? Bears.
Lock it down. 24-16 Cardinals. I think they'll be 2-0.
Now you said Cardinals win pass game. Bears. What about rush game?
I don't know. We saw Chris Johnson have 10, 11 carries against the Raiders. That's about what they wanted him to have in that game. I don't know how durable he is. I don't know. Can you say Chris Johnson's going to carry the ball 20 times? I think they'll have to split it up. Okay. I think David Johnson's going to have to do some things out of the backfield
Maybe
as well.
Maybe a little Stephon Taylor as well. Maybe a couple carries for him just as a change of
Absolutely.
pace.
He's a competent backup running back as well. So.
Sure. We'll finish our predictions right in the final few minutes of the show, but right now we have another caller on the line, Chuck Corzine, and I believe Chuck is a New Orleans Saints fan?
Yeah, you could say that. I don't know how much you're saying after yesterday. It's kind of brutal.
What'd you see yesterday, buddy?
It's pretty much been the way, as far as the Saints go, it's been the way those guys have been trending the last few years. The offense hasn't been as good as it has been in the past. The defense is what it is. It's a work in progress. I mean, you're 2 years removed from, historically the worst defense in NFL history. And to be honest with you, they haven't really looked like they've made the moves as far as free agency or even in the draft to improve that. And I thought you guys, Cardinals looked really good yesterday. Having Palmer back looked like he had missed a beat. That tight end with Bell's kid, where did he come from? That kid is a monster.
Right.
So, it's unfortunate for y'all that Ellington got hurt. But, if he can come back, in a reasonable time period, y'all look strong. Y'all look really strong.
Yeah, be honest. What was your thoughts of Carson Palmer heading into that game? 35 years old, just fresh off an injury. What were your expectations as a Saints fan?
Not that. I didn't expect him to come out and throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And beyond that, I didn't expect him to he kind of, Fitzgerald does much better with him than he seems to have done with anybody else. He's kind of watching last year and all the other quarterbacks, they kind of forget what that guy is and what he brings to the table as far as just, he doesn't have the speed and everything like that anymore, but he's your leading receiver yesterday, which he pretty much should be every game until this Brown kid comes along, and then that kid's going to be a monster. I didn't expect any of that. I expected y'all to be able to run it on us. I expected y'all to be able to throw it a little bit, but I thought we would be on the field offensively a lot more than we were. And, the call at the end of the game to not go for it on 3rd and 6 when you're inside the 2-minute warning and you've got, the other team, you've got 2 timeouts left. My question to you is, do you have more faith stopping for the Saints defense to stop somebody, or do you have more faith in Drew Brees getting a 3rd and 6? Because I have more faith in Drew Brees getting a 3rd and 6. Because there's no doubt in my mind that once we punted, we weren't getting the ball back. So,
yeah, that's true.
I kind of
very
question that.
call.
But yeah,
now
anyway,
also,
like
Chuck,
said,
it says here you're a LSU Tiger fan. We, of course, have a few Tigers on the Cardinals roster. What do you think? Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, Kevin Minter. Those are some big players for us.
Well, I think all 3 of them, if Minter's starting now, all 3 of them start, correct?
Yeah, correct.
I think Minter's starting now. I'll tell you this, those kids at LSU were fantastic. And Patrick Peterson's probably the best athlete that's ever come through there. He donated $1 million to LSU opening weekend of college football season. He was in town. I think Matthew was in town as well. Matthew had a few hiccups there. If you're familiar with his situation, that if there's anybody that kind of deserves a second chance going through what he's gone through, coming out of the Ninth Ward, Katrina and all that sort of thing, it's that young man, and he got the opportunity with Peterson being there, and you guys taking a chance on him. So, Minter's, he's come along, and I don't think he did as well as you guys wanted when he first got there, but I think he gets there. And honestly, he's one of the best linebackers to play at LSU in a long time. So, I think you got 3 good ones, and if Matthew can keep his head on about him and keep on the straight and narrow, I think you got 3 guys that can play for a long time. Now, I'm biased. I'm a LSU guy, but I do think that all 3 of them are fantastic.
Yeah, 3 great players coming from Death Valley. Keep them coming, Chuck, and really, we wish you and the Saints the best of luck now that we're done with them.
I got to be honest, I'm still not over Bounty Gate.
I completely forgotten about that. My gosh, I've been thinking about deflated footballs all summer.
All right, let's finish up the show. We had your prediction.
Yeah.
Tom
Remember
Center,
it?
24-16 Cardinals over the Bears. What do you got, Shane?
Well, I was thinking...
He's crunching the numbers. He's
Yes.
running some metrics.
Well, here's the thing. I got to write a column later on abc15.com later, so I have to stick with whatever prediction I make right now, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Okay. All right. Putting me on the spot here. One of the things that concerns me is the Cardinals had so many problems with tight ends last year, and thank goodness Jimmy Graham was gone yesterday.
Yeah.
Bears have a decent tight end in Martellus Bennett, so that concerns me a little bit as far as a passing game. I still, even without Andre Ellington, I still think the Cardinals have too much firepower. I mean, eventually... J.J. Nelson's going to break loose for a big TD. Michael Floyd's back. You didn't hear much from him yesterday, but you're going to see more from him probably. So, what do you say? Cardinals, let's say 35-20.
Oh, that's pretty similar to mine.
Got that one, Jason?
35-20.
As you think about your pick, this is a game they can't afford to lose because they've got enough tough games in their division. If the Bears are going to be a 5-11 team, 6-10 at best, they have to go into Chicago and beat them on Sunday.
Yeah,
have to.
I got the Cardinals winning the pass game. I think Forte and the Bears' rushing attack will outweigh the Cardinals with Ellington out.
Agree.
I just hope that defensive front can put a stop on Forte. I got 31-17 Cards in Soldier Field.
All right. Write that down right there.
Yeah, right there. 31-17.
We'll take a picture of it and tweet it out.
And Tom, what do you see as some other, real quick, some toughies ahead after Soldier Field?
The rest of the schedule.
Yeah, really. It's pretty stacked.
Man, when you do look at it, I mean, they play the AFC East. That means the Steelers. That means the Ravens, even though Suggs is out. I mean, you go to Cleveland, you play Cincinnati. I mean, those are tough games. Every week is tough in the NFL. I look at this as the one that they have to win, and they're superior to the Bears.
Yeah.
All right, one game at a time. They have to go to Soldier Field and come back 2-0.
We'll see. But that's going to do it for us, guys. That's a wrap from Four Peaks Brewing Company in Tempe. And you know what? You can watch us live at abc15.com or the ABC15 app and join us next Monday from another Four Peaks Brewing location. Until then, enjoy the rest of your work week.
Thanks for watching this week's Cardinals Countdown, brought to you by Sanderson Ford. Check out the powerful Ford F-150 at sandersonford.com. This is ABC 15's Cardinals Countdown.